Have you heard about the latest trend in retirement income? It's called working for it. Hi everyone, I'm David Scranton, and thank you for clicking on today's video. You know, the idea of starting your own business after retirement isn't new, but the number of people that are actually doing it today is higher than ever before. And there are several reasons for this. And you, in fact, might be considering it yourself. But the question becomes, is starting your own business really a practical retirement goal for you? Today, I'll help you answer that question. We'll cover why so many retirees are taking this route, reasons you might want to do it, different kinds of businesses popular with retirees, as well as 6 questions to consider before taking that leap. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, about 25% of workers between age 50 and 59 are self-employed, and that percentage keeps rising among even older workers. For those between 65 and 69, 46% are self-employed. For workers in the late 70s, the number is 68%. Now, did all these self-employed older folks start their own businesses after retirement? Well, of course not, but a sizable number did. And that number has been growing steadily in the last 20 years for a whole bunch of different reasons. First, health. It's a well-known fact that as people are living longer, and they're living healthier lives than ever before. And for many people, retirement is a time to take advantage of this good health. How? By launching a business with something about which they feel passionate. Another reason is technology. The internet, smartphones, social media, these and other advances have opened the door to a much wider range of startup opportunities than retirees have had in the past. More than ever, it's possible to launch a business with a minimum amount of capital and to run it with really low costs, low overhead. Finally, another reason is that Americans have become increasingly aware that the key to a successful retirement lies in generating income. They know that it's not about saving a certain lump sum or making a killing on Wall Street. It's about having a financial strategy designed to provide retirement income that you cannot outlive. And for many, starting a business can actually align with their broader retirement income strategy, one that includes income from other sources, such as investments, Social Security, and which also minimizes their risk of suffering a major financial loss. But the potential financial rewards are only part of the story when it comes to this topic of starting your own business after retirement. There are oftentimes many other potential benefits, including physical and mental, because starting your own business can actually fill the mental and emotional void that you might feel after leaving work. Potential benefits related to that include the ability to be your own boss, to directly help others to learn new skills, all of which can be mentally stimulating and emotionally rewarding. Another plus is that a business venture after retirement doesn't have to be stressful. As we mentioned, you can try your hand at many businesses these days with minimal financial investment. And if your goal is to generate extra income rather than needed income, then it's not a big deal if you struggle for a while, or even if you ultimately fail completely. But what types of businesses are working well for retirees these days? Well, that list is long and includes things like coaching and consulting, or sometimes taxes and bookkeeping, writing and editing, researching, event planning, tutoring, online sales, delivery services, pet care, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, another popular but somewhat different approach is to become a franchisee. Think McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, Arby's. Many of these local shops are owned by franchisees who've obtained a license to do business under a particular company's popular trademark. What makes this one different is that it does require a substantial financial investment, and it's typically a larger commitment in terms of time and labor. Now, while these are some popular ideas, the bottom line with starting your own business is that the sky's the limit. With a little bit of imagination, you can launch a business that helps fulfill you mentally and emotionally, and also serves as a lucrative source of extra income. But how do you get started? What are the most important issues to consider? Well, number one, startup costs. If your business would require dipping into your retirement savings or taking on new debt to start it, then perhaps you don't want to do it. Two, the viability of your business or the viability of your service. You may think it's a great idea, but is there really a market for it? And three, your business, financial, and marketing plan. First of all, do you have one? Does it include a budget, a timeline, a marketing strategy? And also, local, state, and federal regulations. There's always red tape, and depending upon where you live and the nature of your business, you might be required to jump through several regulatory hoops. And how about your health? If it's a physical job, like making deliveries or running a franchise restaurant, are you really physically up for it? And if so, for how long? And lastly, number six, your broader retirement income strategy and how your business fits into it. Because starting a business could be one of your top retirement goals, and that's great. But does it really fit in with your overall retirement goal? Does it, or could it in any way jeopardize the other sources of retirement income? You have to think about things like how will it impact your tax strategy, your strategy for keeping up with inflation, your estate plan. And these are some of the important questions that an income specialist can help you answer in conjunction with the main question, should I start my own business in retirement? Now it's time to bring in our guest, Michael Easton, founder and president of Fellowship Financial Group, a retirement income store located just outside of Orlando, Florida. Michael's also the Amazon best-selling author of the book, Common Sense Income Strategies. Michael, as usual, it's our pleasure to have you here on the show.
It's always great to be with you, Dave.
So are you seeing this trend, as I am, increasing where more and more people now than before are starting businesses in retirement?
It really is. I'm actually seeing quite a bit of that with some of our clients. And I think it comes down to the definition of retirement for some people. It's you work because you want to and not because you have to. People have worked for 30 years pursuing a career, building a profession, and they've developed a skill set that does have some value. Others have a hobby that they have done on the side, and they just want to spend more time doing it. The fact is, they got to fill the hours that they were working. And if you don't have something to fill it with that's fulfilling mentally and physically, then you're going to end up spending too much money.
Yeah, no, it's all good points. Are you finding, though, that people are coming to you pre-retirement and they're disclosing that it's part of their plan, that they want to retire and then want to start a business? Or is it happening after the fact because they find themselves being bored, maybe the grass wasn't greener on the retirement side, and you hear about it after the fact?
Most of the time, we're hearing about it beforehand because they're asking for our input. And what's happening a lot of times is, we'll have a lot of engineers, for example, that they have the benefit, so to speak, of being able to consult with either the company that they've been working with or with some of the network the relationships that they've developed over the 10, 15, 20 years that they've worked for the most recent company. So for the most part, it's people that they've had that hobby, like I mentioned a moment ago, or they've developed a skill set that is valuable in the marketplace, and they have relationships that they just continue on with after their retirement. And you'd be surprised, you don't have to work that many hours to make a decent supplement to your Social Security, and if you're fortunate enough to have a pension.
Yeah, all great points. Now, are you finding that there's certain common questions or concerns that people are bringing to the table, for your consult before they actually retire and launch into this retirement business?
That's actually the scary part, because too many times they have the skill set in the area that they've developed a profession in, but they don't think about the implications of starting a business. For example, if you're an independent contractor, then you're going to have to deal with taxes. If you don't set up your company properly, then you may end up paying 15.5% for Social Security and Medicare even after you're retired. And so there are a lot of things like that. And even just setting up the business where people they don't even ask the question because you don't know what you don't know. And so we end up bringing that information to the table and adding value in that way as they start to think about, how do I lay the foundation for this new potential business that I'm going to pursue?
Now, of course, Michael, you're the guy who wrote the book, Common Sense Income Strategies, right? So how do investing for income and starting your own business actually kind of sort of go hand in hand?
Well, when it comes to investing for income, the fact is that depending on when they retire, they may or may not have started Social Security yet. But if they have, then you've got a layer of guaranteed income right there. You've got potentially a pension. So you got two layers. And if we're adding a supplement based on their investments and generating, again, predictable income, well, it just lays the foundation for them not to have to worry too much about where their next dollar is going to come from in retirement. A lot of times the business is going to give them the ability to defer taking income from their retirement accounts. And then, of course, we can hedge against inflation by reinvesting the interest and dividends, giving them more income down the road when they really need it.
Mm-hmm. You find there are a lot of folks that are looking to have any significant startup cost where maybe buying a franchise or doing something that, not just something using technology and social media to market, but something that actually has more financial risk?
Not as much. I do have some clients, in fact, some that are artisans. So, for example, they might have a woodworking business that they want to start out. It was a hobby on the side. Now they want to gear it up. So there's some pretty expensive equipment that they can purchase, that they'll need to purchase in order to make that a reality. So that's the most part where it comes down to, the startup costs. Not as many on the franchise side because they realize that's a full-time job. And for the most part, the client's retired. They really want to be able to just supplement their income and not turn it into another full-time job.
Mm-hmm. You talked a lot about the emotional benefits too of being self-employed and keeping active and the social aspect and having goals and objectives to work toward, and that's all great. But you're also a CPA, Michael. So how about the tax benefits that people can get? I know you mentioned the negatives like paying both sides of the FICA tax, but being self-employed and having a Schedule C gives benefits for some people too, does it not?
Well, whether it's a Schedule C or maybe you do set up a separate business where you establish an S corporation where you have some flexibility as far as, what are you going to pay employment tax on versus what are you going to consider as a distribution? So you have a little more flexibility, but we've got to be able to know it up front, because if you do it after the fact, then it becomes a lot more complicated and it could be a lot more costly.
Mm. You mentioned the struggles with a lot of people coming to the table and not having enough questions because you don't know what you don't know, and not having a business plan, and how you oftentimes will help clients with that. And it seems to me like you're uniquely talented in that area, because not only having your CPA background, but also even before coming in as a financial advisor, you were kind of sort of a serial entrepreneur. So you've got that mindset. But do you think that most retirement planning financial advisors have the skill set that you do to help people build a business plan and to look out for all the gotchas?
I think in some ways they do, but I think my background as far as being, starting out in public accounting, working with business owners, starting businesses on my own, I do have more of an understanding of what needs to be done. How do you establish the business plan? So I think to your point, I do have some unique background that allows me to be able to add value to these people.
Good. Well, they certainly need that type of help. Even if you're making a small investment up front, I always encourage people to have the business plan. Always think about, plan it out in terms of marketing and sales and how much time it's going to take. And also think about in the worst case scenario, if it fails, are you going to be okay? Michael Easton, again, our pleasure. Thanks so much for being here with us on The Income Generation.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you for watching today's video. Should I start my own business in retirement? If you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up, to give us a like, and to make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel each and every week for new content.